Hey everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be discussing about one of the characteristics of a cloud computing, which is on-demand and self-service. Now, when it comes to a on-demand and self-service, one important part to remember is that whenever a person is using a cloud service provider, he should be able to provision the resource in cloud whenever needed without requiring any human interaction with a service provider. This is very important because I still remember many years back, close to 7-8 years back, if we wanted to have some modification, like if we want to have server from 2 GB RAM to 4 GB RAM, we had to raise a ticket, we had to wait for 24 hours, and sometimes it used to take even more. So at that, there was a human interaction which was present, and there was also a dependency on the service provider over there. Now, on-demand really makes self-service with automation possible in a seamless way. But do remember, I have also added this as a subtitle here, that cloud is not unlimited. We already discussed that cloud behind the scenes is data center. So there are servers which are running, and on top of that, you have the virtualization layer. Now, many times what happens is that when you try to launch the server in AWS, you would typically see this specific error, which states that error starting instances insufficient capacity. So do remember that even the cloud provider has the higher limit. It may be much more higher, but there is always a limit even for the cloud service provider. Now typically, let me show you this with an example. Now this is my Linux virtual machine. Now the amount of RAM and the amount of processor as well as the amount of hard disk that I can assign to my virtual machine really depends upon how much resource that I have on the underlying hardware. So currently this virtualization layer is running on top of my laptop. Now my laptop has a 24 GB RAM. So that does not mean I can assign hundreds of GB RAM to my virtual machine. That should not be possible, and that is not possible. So basically, similar way, if you talk about cloud also, since cloud is running in data centers is servers. Server has a RAM, it has a CPU, and it also had a hard disk, right? There are limits to the resources that can be allocated. So this was one of the pointer that I had intended to convey within this specific characteristics of a cloud computing environment. So with this, we'll conclude this video. I hope this has been informative for you, and I look forward to see you in the next video.